So with today's live stream talking about the new restriction list for Vanguard, there were a lot of different things that a lot of people are talking about, but the one that obviously I need to touch up on is the restriction on, once again, Commander Laurel. Now, there were quite a few other important restrictions, or unrestrictions rather, with things like Barkle after 6 years in the English format. I'm not going to be talking about that in this video, but if you want me to, then do let me know in the comments, because there's still some things I'd like to touch up on, especially with things like Barkle. Some people don't even know why it was banned in the first place, as well as the purple trapezes limitation. Now, first things first, this is for the Japanese restriction list, but unlike last time Laurel got restricted, I am very positive that we will get the same restriction in English. Now, this restriction will only apply to the premium format from July 20th in Japan onwards, so I'm assuming that for us it's going to be either late August or early September, because I'm assuming that July 20th is going to be the release date of the new, or the day before the release date of the new extra booster with the Dimension Police support. And now, along with this restriction list, which actually doesn't happen very often, Bushiroad actually published a PDF file explaining every single restriction, including that of Laurel's. I'll link both the website with the new restrictions in Japanese as well as the PDF file in the description if you want to check it out for yourselves, but I essentially translated the Japanese explanation for Laurel, because apparently people don't like it when I speak Japanese in videos. Essentially, this is my translation. So it says B24015 Commander Laurel, from no restriction to 1 copy, well, per deck. It'll be effective from July 20th onwards. And then the explanation that they actually write is, although it is a very attractive card, the compatibility with imaginary gift markers and new triggers leads to large restraints in card design. Therefore, with the release of new Dimension Police cards, this card will be restricted from July 20th onwards. Now, there are a few good things about this. There are some bad things, but those bad things would only be true if Laurel was getting restricted now, because right now Laurel is still an important card for a lot of decks, like the still relevant Grand Gallop deck as well. However, the main point is that ever since Laurel first got printed in 2011 in Japan, he has been one big problem child. I do love the card myself, and I think it represents the clan really well as like this icon, and his helmet has been seen in a bunch of fan art representing Dimension Police 2, but that does not change the situation that ever since Laurel was printed, Bushiroad has always had to design cards around Laurel. Problem with this is that every time they print something new, it just doesn't stand without Laurel. Literally, it can't stand, pun intended. There have been some small exceptions, like, well, not really small, but the new X-Gallop Stride and the whole Gallop deck currently can potentially function without Laurel, but some pro players will actually deny that and say that no, it's still an important piece of the deck. Bushiroad has also tried to completely circumvent Laurel from the deck with the new Dynexus support by being a very xenophobic dimensional robo-only deck that would possibly push players to not put Laurel into their decks. The problem with Laurel is that, especially in Stride format, being able to hit any target and then get a restand, meaning you get up to 6, if not more, drive checks per turn, is obviously a problem, especially back at the start of the G era when everybody was running perfect guards that could only guard the Vanguard and there were no G guards. Because of that, a lot of the cards that came out during that time were honestly not that great, and Dimension Police was basically asleep until Dimax came out, and again, it was a card that was designed to not work with Laurel, or well, you know, not have to rely on Laurel at least, and sort of work without it. Laurel was once restricted to 1 at the very first wave of Dimension Police support in the G series because they were afraid of consistent 6 drive checks per turn, but then they did unlimited because eventually, you know, Dimension Police just didn't top at all, and that was it. So the reason why I find this to be a good thing is because by restricting Laurel to 1, finally Bushiroad is not putting Dimension Police into a corner from the very start. This means that they can freely design cards and give us any kind of effects that don't rely on, oh my god, are we going to destroy the game because this will interact with Laurel too well. And now they mention in the explanation that this will interact too well with the gift markers and also too well with new triggers, which, you know, is interesting because Dimension Police is a Force clan, so I'm not too sure. I guess, like, just in terms of power it would interact too much, but I'm not sure about new triggers because from what I know we're probably not getting front triggers in Dimension Police. unless this refers to Extreme Fight, which they actually still care about, surprisingly. But regardless, I find the restriction of Laurel to be a good thing simply because now Bushiroad hasn't designed themselves into a corner for the entire clan, and they can freely give us any kind of effect because, you know, they can give us restanders without worrying too much about it, you know, that it won't turn into a triple restand like it would have with Laurel. In general, they just have a lot of freedom to design the clan now, and it allows it to start fresh, which is the point of this reboot to begin with. There was also a scan of the Card Gamer magazine, I think almost a month back now, in which they did hint at a unit that is a bit similar to Laurel existing, so there is a chance that they'll print a different Laurel in the reboot, but I'm assuming that it would be with a much more nerfed effect. So that's my explanation of why Laurel got restricted. It's essentially just because it's too much for the clan, and because of Laurel, Dimension Police wasn't able to get proper good cards until the game power creep to the point that it was okay to get really good cards. And now Bushiroad essentially wants to allow Dimension Police to start fresh, and I honestly welcome that because now we can finally, you know, enjoy new cards with different effects, and we don't have to always think, ooh, but this doesn't work well with Laurel, ooh, but this kind of abuses Laurel too much. So honestly, I think this is a really good thing, and as much as I love Laurel, I'm fine with letting it go. So I think this is actually healthier for the game. I think this is a good change, and honestly, I'm not complaining about it all that much. But that's gonna be it for this explanation. If you want any of the other things on this restriction list explained, as like Barkle as I mentioned, or Purple Trapezist, then I'm always open to explaining that as well, because I for some reason seem to enjoy this. But that's going to be it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any other views on why you think restricting Laurel was a good or a bad idea, or any other thoughts on the new restriction list as a whole, do let me know in the comments. Don't forget that this is the Japanese restriction list that goes effective on May 1st. All things except Laurel and Purple Trapezes go effective May 1st, and then for the English side, probably once the new rules settle in as well. So that's going to be it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to click the bell button, as well as check out the social medias in the description, as well as join the Discord channel if you haven't already. But on that note, that's going to be it for me today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.